go, and I'm free of the chains of F-book. And so now it's entirely up to you now to promote this all on book. I won't even give it the energy it needs to survive.
Mike.
And I'll tell you,
it's all good, darling. It is all good.
A lot of free time I've discovered since my departure from the metaverse.
Well, sweetie, you know, the messages that I've been getting for a few weeks now is that I've got to start doing more on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because this channel has always been somewhere where you can't say what you really want to say.
Yeah.
You know, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
But at least on here we can reach a bigger audience.
Yeah.
You know, it was either that or join Instagram and Twitter, which I'm not on either of those. I don't want to do it.
And I've left them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is interesting, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, we're doing great work. You know, I got that confirmation today that you and I are doing great work, that it may only be one person who watches 5 minutes of our show and it gives them that hope that something will work out for them.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know why we do what we do. So we don't have to ask.
No.
We don't have to know the reason why we do anything in our lives. No. The very fact that we do what our gut is telling us to do, which is our instincts and our intuition, at the end of the day, you know, the other day a guy actually said to me, he said, I want to know my life purpose. And I said, darling, you don't know what your life purpose is. You know, you might have to go through your life until you're 98 years old, sitting in a retirement home where the nurse comes in where she's physically upset, and you're the only one who says something that cheers her up for the rest of her shift.
Yeah.
And so for 98 years, you have to wait for that 30-second reason why we're here.
I think also, Linda, that big question, what's my life purpose, I don't think is for a medium or a psychic to answer. That is something you have to discover for yourself. Otherwise, there's no mystery or learning to life whatsoever. That's right. And so what if a psychic tells you something you don't want to hear? Right? You know, oh, well, I don't want that as my life path. Well, you asked me what your life path is. This is it.
Yes.
And that's
exactly right.
You can upset the whole balance of things. I think there's certain questions, like with table tipping, there's certain questions that shouldn't be asked, and actually Joan won't answer if they're inappropriate.
I got the one that I'm now getting a lot is, why aren't I receiving messages, and why isn't my spirit guide coming through? Big question, requires a very small answer. The answer is simply, if you don't hear from your guides, if you're not hearing your messages, they only give us messages when we're not doing what they want us to do.
Yeah.
So if we're already on our path, if we're already doing what we assign to ourselves in our life contracts, they don't need to interfere with us.
No.
So you're not going to receive your messages, you know? So you take it as a pat on the back when we don't get messages.
Yeah.
You know, oh, gosh, I'm already doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So, you know, it's just that confusion. But, you know, people do get confused. Oh, my gosh, what's going on? Because I'm not receiving messages.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same as saying, why don't I receive a message from my mother? Well, your mum's not on time like we are, you know.
Yeah.
So to me, they're irrelevant questions.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, I think there's at deeper levels, if mum doesn't come through, what was the relationship with you and mum when she was on the earth plane? Did you get on? Would she know within her higher self now that perhaps it's best if she doesn't contact you because of your consciousness?
Well, and I actually say to people there too, Mike, I say, your mother probably loved you so much that she knows that if she came through, she'd upset you.
Yeah.
So why would she come through knowing that you would get upset? Because she loves you so much that she wouldn't want to upset you.
Yeah.
So there's another slant that I tell people when they're not getting messages as well.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, every case is different. Every case is different. And that's why. Yeah.
I'll be something surprising happened this week. As you know, we lost our beloved Trumpet, our healing dog.
Yeah, I know.
And this actually, be perfectly honest with you, destroyed me for a few days because I never experienced a loss like I did with this beautiful soul. Harder, I know many people won't like this, what I'm saying, but it was harder losing this dog than my mother and father. It's a different love, you know, it's a different...
It is a different love.
It's a different energy.
Yes.
But...
Yes.
Normally when I'm in a little bit of suffering, my mum and dad come through, and they didn't this time. So, yeah, it's one of those things. So, thank you. So, Alexandra says, so sorry. Yeah, beautiful soul. This dog gave unconditional love, was a healer, but we've already connected with her through table tipping. And we know it was her because the way the table moved was exactly how she used to move. and so
isn't it good when we get our confirmations like that? Oh, it's beautiful.
And she'd always go like this with the paw to Denise, and the table would do this. Is it incredible? So we know she made it to the other side, and there's a lot more to this dog than just her being a dog, but that's for another story. When I'm a bit stronger, I'll connect with her and
and at least it gives us that hope that they are watching. You know, they're watching over us. They're there with us, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So,
wow.
So
absolutely amazing.
All of this stuff now, also with the planetary vibration speeding up, more and more people are able not only to connect with spirit, but for want of a better phrase, the Pleiades are becoming more visible, for want of a better phrase. The communication with them now is a lot easier, because at one point with the Pleiades it was 9:30, I think it was every Monday local time, but not everyone could get the connection because they said a lot of people have still too much toxicity in them. But everything's changing now, and more people, even people that didn't think they were psychic, are being able to connect now with higher life forms, with guides. I think the last people they're going to connect with is their loved ones, because they simply won't believe it. But everything else is a little bit easier to believe in. So everything's changing, everything's shifting. And I would say to people, just trust what you see and trust what you feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trust what you feel. Right. Trust what you feel.
Yeah.
Go with your emotions, guys.
Yeah.
You know, I say to people all the time, check in with your emotions.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Are you... or are you feeling drained?
Yeah.
Ask yourself, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
Because then you can work out why you're feeling that way.
Yeah.
Because we've got to remember, emotions are only a reaction to a behaviour at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, well, darling, I studied psychology for years, you know. Yeah. Sometimes I come out with these little pivotal sayings about psychology, but we really, it all fits in together with the spiritual world, you know. So you check in with your emotions. And then you say, okay, so this is why this is all happening for me.
Yeah.
You know, pardon me, it's beautiful when we can identify that we're in a good mood because of something that is a spiritual action. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, just to further your comment there, you know, last week I gave a talk on ascension into 5D. And one of the things that I hooked on was that gratitude is the emotion that is expressed from an experience. It's not the actual experience, it's an emotion.
That's right. It's the reaction.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love it when we work it out, Mike.
Yeah.
I love it when people work it out, because this is, this is when we start self-analyzing ourselves, and we start putting more onus on who we are and what our actions are, rather than relying on this three-dimensional world that we live in, where we sleep, eat, work, eat, sleep, work again. Because that's just the veil. And the veil is now going away, where people are saying, who really am I? Who the hell am I? And, more people are now looking within themselves and really sorting themselves out, taking that self-empowerment, taking that self-authority. I was actually just saying to a friend that I'm going to write some books. I'm going to put them on Lulu. One of them that I want to write is, where is my future boyfriend? Because that is the most common question I get asked as a psychic. Where is my boyfriend?
Yeah.
And the other book that I want to write is why I hate the word hate. Even though I've said it twice in the heading, because the more our words, the more we say words, the more we create what we say, as you know, with your words. So, they're only going to be short, probably 30, 50 pages, so they're going to be really cheap on Lulu. Probably give them away to people, especially the ones who come to me for a reading and say, oh, I need a boyfriend. Well, here's my PDF,
Yeah.
Hope this answers all your questions.
I've just buttoned my lip there a little bit, so...
Yeah, but darling, that's the thing about me. I'm always honest.
Yeah.
Because the moment I lie, my integrity is down the toilet.
Yeah.
And that's something I will never do. I'll never lie to anyone who comes to me for a reading or, and that's why probably, there are some people who can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We live in an age now where there's a lot of people not recognizing the truth.
Yeah.
And when we look within our own self and we're ascertaining who we are and what we are, sometimes people don't like realizing what they are. So that's where we start to blame others and, hide it.
Before we just nip into the paranormal news, which Katharina do for us, we are in this bridging period of the fourth density or the fourth dimension, where it's the bridge between 3 and 5. And this density only allows truth. And this is why the politicians and public speakers are experiencing enormous difficulties, because their truth will be spoken. And a classic example of that was George Bush, again working to his strengths, speaking, talking about how in Russia, one man with no checks and boundaries can do a brutal invasion of Iraq, he said. I mean Ukraine. These fraudulent slips are going to come out more and more, because the fourth dimension, the fourth density, is that of truth. So truth will be spoken whether you want to say it or not. So we will see a lot of politicians now slipping up, because they're so bloody deceitful that only truth will be spoken.
Well, that's right, darling.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it when people are sharing these mistakes.
Yeah.
Freudian slips.
Yeah.
Because the more we get it out there, the more that people are waking up.
Yeah.
But whether we're at pivotal point now where we stop waking people up, it's too late for a lot.
Yeah.
But, there are people waking up, and of course they need understanding, compassion, and most of all love.
Yeah.
Because, it's a hard pill when you realise what you have been living through is not the truth.
No.
It's like the movie The Matrix.
Yeah.
When Neo took that red pill and realised that his whole life was an illusion.
Yeah.
And that's what we are going through.
Yeah.
And people are waking up to that. So, they need that love. They need that support network.
Yeah.
So then they understand that there are others out there who have been through the same thing, and we're all in this together ultimately. Yeah. So
okay,
good
mate.
for watching, guys. Whoever's here, thank you so much.
Yep. Let's go over at Paranormal News with Katerina and get the show rolling. Here we go.
Yes.
Hello, my spooktacular friends. How are you today? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're feeling vibrant and blessed. And I hope you're here to hear some news that makes you go, ah! Brr, huh. Or simply, what the what? Why? Why is no one else talking about this? Well, I'm talking about it with you today. My name is Caterina Campagna, and let's dive into it, shall we? Prince Charles. Not only is he the father of a famous couple who spoke to Oprah recently, but he is also the descendant of, guess who? What? Dracula? Yes, Prince Charles is the descendant of Vlad the Impaler of Romania. Yes, the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula novel and the stuff of nightmares ever since, and Twilight, and I don't know, something about werewolves. Anyway, to the point, Prince Charles is the 16th removed great-grandson of Vlad the Impaler. He spoke about it openly in 2010 when he went to go visit Romania and revealed his lineage. Moving on to a land that is also subject to the Queen. Somehow, I'm looking at you, Canada. That's right. In December 1919, Ambrose Small was the owner of a very successful Canadian theater company. Now, on December 2nd, he sold his company for a cool $2 million. Now, no one heard from him. He just vanished. He deposited the check into his bank, and the next day, poof, nothing. His wife, Teresa, was also baffled and later on became suspect to having some hand in the foul play. And his disappearance, the disappearance of this prominent gentleman in Canada, even got the attention of Sherlock Holmes writers, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and no one still to this day knows what has happened to Mr. Smalls. Now, he was reportedly not the nicest to all the ingenues in his theater who he had a particular fancy for. And they say that to this day, in his special seating at the top of the theater, you can feel his presence, and actresses swear to things like having their skirts rise up just a little bit and feel a ghostly presence there. So he might have never left his theater after all. From Canada to London, we're going to Buckingham Palace, or more specifically, the park in front of Buckingham Palace, St. James Park, where it is rumored that in 1870, a sergeant lured his wife into the park and killed her, chopped off her head, and ever since she has been appearing as the Lady in Red, and she's just been searching for her head for the last 200 or so years. She appears sometimes in a red cloak or in a red dress, and sometimes with her head or sometimes without. But as late as the 1970s, a man was driving along and he swerved into a tree because he said that he tried to avoid a woman dressed in red. That's all for this week, my friends. I hope you stay blessed. I hope you stay beautiful. And you know what else to say. Stay curious, my friends.
there you go, Vlad the Impaler. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
for Brits anyway. That's
Oh.
a bit of an older story for Brits, but yeah, I mean, he was really bloody proud of it, you know. But there you are. They're a weird family, aren't they? That lot. So, but yeah.
Well, you know, there is one word that I want to say there, and it starts with A,
Mm-hmm.
and then it has a deno, and then it ends in chrome, like on, you know, chrome.
Yeah.
You know what I'm following? Because you've got to speak in code.
Yeah.
But, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, you know, we can't say now that
no, that's out in the open, all that.
It's out. You know, we all know it exists. We all know who drinks it.
Yeah.
You know, so how would you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'd actually like to go to these theatres that are haunted, you know, getting down to the Mr. Small story now.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand why theatres are haunted. But when we look at a ghost who likes what they do, you know, if you've got someone like Brad Pitt type actor who loves acting, of course they're going to come back and stay in the place where they felt so much love about what they did. Yeah. So, you know, I honestly believe that's why a lot of theatres are haunted, especially like where they stand up on the stage and they're doing their works. Yeah. Because they're proud. Yeah. They still want their work to continue. Yeah. You know, they're after those accolades. They want that attention. They want that adrenaline that they feel when they're working on stage and the audience is watching. Yeah. So, of course, theatres are going to be haunted. Yep.
Yeah. Well, sorry. I mean, I fully understand that. I did a theatre clearing once. It wasn't an actor there. It was a very disgruntled man that they turned his basement restaurant, if you like, into a theatre, and he lived there and everything, and he just didn't like the noise there. I gave him the opportunity to go in the light, and he did, because, you know, the actors would be downstairs in the changing room getting ready, and doors would slam, and things would get knocked over, and God knows what else. And when I did the clearing, because I knew about this, I had to really put something in between the door and jam it so that he wouldn't shut that door and try and lock me in. Yeah. But he went peacefully. So. Well,
that's right. Yeah. You know, especially when they're unhappy. Yeah. You know, if they work out finally that they're not required to stay, they'll go on. But, you know, you do get the ones who do want to hang around because they just love it. Yeah. So it all comes down to being a medium to communicate with these ghosts to find out if they're truly happy or they're ready to be moved on. You know, we can't just walk into a house and just say, oh, go into the light, because that could be very traumatic for a ghost if they just hear that they've, what do you mean? I've died?
Yeah, I'm dead.
You know, it could be very true. Yeah, I'm dead. You know, I've got children. Who's looking after my children? Who's paying the bills? Yeah. You know, who's got the car? Does Mum know? Yeah. You know, that's a line out of a Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder movie. One's dead and one's blind. Does Mum know? You know, but I use that line all the time because, you know, a ghost, what would their mum think? You know, how sad did she get? Like, she's just found out her child's died. Yeah. You know, so it could be very traumatic to a ghost that finding out that they've died. Yeah, so you got to go with a professional, guys, especially if you're going to send one over to the light, you know, to make sure that they are ready to go. Right. Yeah. I don't know who this lady in red is, Mike. No. What's your thoughts there?
Don't know who this lady in red is. There's many ladies in red, lady in black, lady by the lake. There's so many of it, and I've never heard of this story at all. So 10 out of 10 for pulling that one up. Never heard of that one at all. That's right.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you know, I went to Buckingham Palace when I was a teenager. Yeah. You know, only around the sides. I didn't actually go in. But, you know, we went to St. James's Park. I didn't see any ladies just popping out in red unless it was just another in the crowd because, you know, I've always seen ghosts. Yeah. But, it was even a shock to me to hear that one, Yeah, because I went into a lot of castles when I lived in the UK, and they're all haunted.
Yeah.
They've all got, they all came out to wave at me, I should say, like this.
Anyway, let's
funny.
go.
It's all good.
Let's go to our first one. This is well, I've got this. This is the first time you've joined us. We always open up with, and we get, let's say, the scary ones out there, but they're not scary, but that's just the way I put it. And there's an interesting thing that I discovered about this first clip we're going to see, and I'll tell you after we see it. So let's run this and see what happens.
Tease the living. In a security video from the Bawtry Hill supermarket in Irvine, Scotland, something seems to move a crate from under a store employee as she's attempting to step up onto it to stock some shelves. Instead of her foot landing on the step, she misses it and falls against a stack of store merchandise, knocking over a few cans on the shelf. A nearby co-worker witnesses the incident and continues stocking shelves. He doesn't even move in to help her. If you slow the footage down, you can see a clear gap between the employee's shoe and the crate. The crate moves before she steps onto it.
Linda, shall I give you my thoughts first? The first one, I did a little bit of research because a name popped up there, Stuart Mockler, I think it was. And when I went there, I found out he was a graphic artist and a graphic designer. And whilst there was nothing that showed he did any video editing, he is big in this like Second Life military game where you actually design the maneuvers and all the rest of it. It's pretty weird stuff.
So that could be him practicing.
Yeah, so this could be him doing this. Also, the father lying on the bed had short trousers. And I'm going to assume when he got up to show, you look how low the crib is, he had long trousers on. Now, I don't think he's going to get out of bed, put tracksuit bottoms on and then move 2 yards to the crib, unless that was mum. That I don't know. But all of this now starts to me to look like this is a fraud. What do you think?
Something is just not right, Mike. Okay? Because I will go there. There's a lot of different entities out there. Humanoid, which can be ghosts or spirits, is one in the masses. Okay. So let's just go there with human first. If this was a ghost or a spirit, would any human go up to a child and come up from the ground.
Yeah.
We don't do it. We walk into the room, we bend over the
Yeah.
crib and look at the child, because ghosts and spirits act the same as we do living. They don't go, oh, I'm going to creep in and come out from under, unless it was another entity.
Yeah.
Starting with a D,
Yeah.
that sounds like Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Because they're little creepers.
Yeah.
They like creeping around. They like doing little weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they don't resemble human fingers.
No.
Okay? Because when you zoom in, you can actually see the fingers coming in.
Yeah.
And they're human.
Yeah.
They're not the Ds.
No.
So I don't think, in my gut, that was real.
No.
Okay?
No. Okay.
But, yep, so let's go to the second one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first, please.
When you slow it down, the crate disappears.
Oh.
When she's walking, the crate's there.
Yeah.
She steps on the crate moves, but as she falls, the crate totally disappears.
For a fraction of a second.
It's not there.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to show that again, Mike.
Let's
but
see.
Go right when she's just falling.
Yeah.
The crate totally you can actually see it disappears. It's there and then it's just not there.
Okay.
It doesn't slide.
Attempting to step up on. Something seems to move a crate from under a store employee as she's attempting to step up on.
Yeah. So, what do you think then? This is.
Yep. We're not on YouTube at this point, Dale. You've still got the baby in the cot showing. There you go. There we are.
Yeah.
It's all good. Well, let's go there.
So,
that
do you think
crate
this is supernatural?
Disappeared.
Sorry.
I don't know, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this is real or not, because who would?
I mean,
I don't know.
that is a supermarket CCTV. So either somebody's whipped it out and done this for a laugh, or it's the real deal.
Yeah. But why does the crate disappear?
Yeah.
It moves, so she doesn't stand on it.
Yeah.
And then it disappears.
Yeah.
So, that's why, I love it when I download these videos, because I can really slow them down and look at every second, of the film.
Yeah.
So, that's why it takes so long when we do debunk, because it's, it takes forever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're there for, 6 or 8 hours just looking at 2-hour video.
Yeah.
Especially, if you've got 4 or 6 cameras working in a location It can take you a week, 10-hour days to look through all the footage because you keep slowing down. You rewind, then you rewind, then you watch, and then you rewind. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Well, we just have to put that one on ice and...
Yeah, I know. That's a weird one,
just
Mike.
so we don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either. I can't explain that one. Where, the fact that it moved, I can understand doing that.
Yeah.
I can understand that one. But how did it disappear?
Yeah.
We've either got graphics coming into play or a time slip type thing. Don't know.
And talking of time slip, it's the perfect cue, Linda, to get into our little time slip piece of video. I love this one. I've heard many stories like this, and I say stories, but I've heard many examples, particularly with flights, losing time, the radar's gone, and so on and so forth. Let's pop over, have a look, and come back and get some thoughts. And please, people, feel free to comment whenever you feel so. Here we go.
Now I think I'll save the best tale for last. The year was 1974, when a National Airlines 727 flight en approach to land at Miami International Airport received instructions from the control tower to divert the plane immediately to a secluded runway. The pilots on board were confused, as all was going well, and they had experienced nothing out of the ordinary during the flight. The panicked control tower instructor was pleading for the pilot to land the plane at a runway which was reserved for emergencies such as crash landings and hijackings. The plane landed without incident, and all the passengers were ushered off by airport security, while the police and fire services assembled outside the aircraft. No one was told what was going on, and eventually the captain became impatient and demanded to know what the problem was. After joining the captain, the head of airport security explained that the plane had lost radar contact with the control tower for a full 10 minutes. He went on to say that the plane hadn't merely lost contact, it had disappeared completely from view. The captain was then asked to check his watch and the clock in the plane's cockpit. The Miami Herald reported that an investigation into the incident showed that both the captain's watch and the clock in the cockpit read 9:20 a.m. Not only this, but every passenger who'd worn a watch also saw the time to be the same. In actual fact, the time was 9:30 a.m, as shown on the security guards' watches and every other timepiece outside of the 727. The plane and everyone on board had lost 10 minutes. Now let's go back to when the plane was in the air. The control tower had lost contact with the 727, immediately assuming that it had exploded in mid-air or crashed. For 10 frantic minutes no one was able to find anything, and the emergency services were sent out to the swamplands west of Miami, where they were certain they would find a fallen plane. The radar unit was said to be functioning normally and was still monitoring other flights in the area. In fact, some of the other planes in the area passed through the same airspace that the 727 had vanished from. But then the plane suddenly reappeared in exactly the same position from which it had vanished, which seemed impossible. Over the space of 10 minutes, the plane should have travelled a considerable distance. From the point of view of the crew and all the passengers, nothing was out of the ordinary, and they hadn't experienced anything unusual. The crew even said that they maintained communication with the tower throughout the entire 10 minutes, and if they had flown off course, surely they would have noticed. According to available information, it seems that the plane simply did not exist for 10 minutes, at least not in our timeline. The case of the National Airlines 727, if true, has never been solved.
It's really quite interesting that they maintained radio contact. So, again, either this is a completely fictitious story or there's a blip in the matrix.
Mike, I honestly believe that more stuff like this actually does happen.
Yeah, I do.
Than what they're telling us. Honestly. How many times have people, I remember back in the 80s, I lived 45 minutes drive from my house to my ex-mother-in-law's house, or his family's house, his ex, mother and father. So it was a 45-minute drive. And one night we left their house at 9 o'clock and we were home by 20 past 9.
Yeah.
There was no way we could have done that.
Yeah.
Because of suburban streets where you've got to stop and go through red lights, etc.
Yeah.
And, there was some highway on there, but you couldn't do it.
No.
So I remember that from the 80s, but how often does this actually do occur with people where they just say, oh, yeah, it's a fluke, or, but,
there's no
we all know that the government hides everything.
Yeah.
They don't want us to know anything.
Yeah.
But I can imagine how many things they do know about, especially in flight tracker and, pilots' experiences of UFOs, etc., especially, with time slips as well.
Mm.
But I reckon that there's a hell of a lot of undocumented stories that don't ever leave the work zone, don't tell your parents what happened. Don't tell your wife what happened at work tonight type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I reckon it has to happen a lot, because that's just too weird.
Yeah.
Too weird.
Yeah.
I
mean, we had the story a while back about the couple who were on holiday and they was in France and they stayed at this lodge and the police walked in dressed very old and they paid and they couldn't believe how cheap it was, and so off they went, but they decided to drive past this way the next day and the building wasn't there, and it was old, and one of the locals said, yeah, it was a police station, I know 60, 70 years ago, but the fact is they were actually exchanging money and this was all so real, and there was the
eating food there.
Yeah. And what was the other one?
How does that work?
The where was it? What's the Civil War in America one? Gettysburg, where the troops woke him up from the Civil War. How does that all work? How really does it all work?
How does it work when you just go back there and you're part of it?
Yeah.
And I like saying the words emotional connection or energetic connection. But these people don't have any energetic connection to these other locations, It's just weird, whether it's by location comes into it as well, where we can be at two places at different locations, but it's more like instead of being by location, it's by time.
Yeah.
So it's not location like geography. It's we're in two different time zones at the same time.
Binary.
So binary.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
I mean, the best time slip, if you like, which was, Dinner with an Angel, with that lady on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
So you can say, okay, you knock on the door to the what do they call the guy who's in charge of the apartments, and he can say that there was
superintendent.
Yeah. And
Is it the building superintendent?
Yeah, the super, yeah. And he can say, well, no one was there for a year, but then how do you explain her taking crockery and food? Because she went back to give the crockery. So you either got to say it's a crock of, or there's really something supernatural going on here.
I'm thinking there's something really supernatural because
so,
we have not just one witness, we have heard
and two children.
Because the two children were there. They both ate.
Yeah.
They would have spoken to the old lady as well.
Yeah.
But there is a herd psychosis where everyone gets because this is just what psychiatrists try to explain this phenomena as, to try and make it sound rational so they can give people drugs to take it away. But ultimately, sorry, have a giggle there. But ultimately they call it herd psychosis.
Yeah.
I was reading this story the other week about a lady she was driving over a bridge. She looked down and there was a bus in the water and all these children are in the bus in the river.
Right.
So she actually stopped, ran down there, and she's helping all these children get out of the bus.
Right.
So she walks to the water holding one of the children that she'd been in the bus. She was in the bus getting the children out. She walked out of the river, got this baby onto the ground, turned around to go back, no bus. Look back, no baby.
Yeah.
Then you find out that happened 45 years before.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting story.
I'll try and find it, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was, because I researched that for part of my ghost book about that herd psychosis, where the children were all on the bus together and they all believed that they all drowned,
right,
or they didn't know they drowned, and that's why they keep coming back to get saved by people.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, so I will try and look for that story and see if there's any footage out there, or, just a guy explaining it, because I think it was just like a PDF type thing that I was reading, a report.
Right. Okay.
But how interesting is that?
Yeah.
How interesting was that one?
That's a cool one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Goody good.
So.
Well, next one. We're doing good for time, surprisingly enough. Catty or Katie, protected by an angel. How in the hell does this story happen unless it's actually supernatural? This beautiful, saved by an angel. I love these stories. Let's go over and have a listen. And again, we'll make some comments. Here we go.
In 1995, Bud and Karen Daly had been married for 18 years and were the proud parents of 5 children, ranging in age from 16-year-old Christopher to 2.5-year-old Katie. And like any large family, daily life could be very demanding.
It gets a little bit hectic because the boys were involved in football. My older daughter, Amanda, was cheerleading, and Christopher had a job that he needed to go to.
That left all the daily transportation to either Karen or Bud.
Honey, would you mind doing the family shuttle for me tonight?
I think I can handle that.
Don't forget, Chris needs to be to work.
One September evening, Karen chose to stay home for some well-deserved rest.
And I'll keep little Katie with me, okay, honey? We'll play.
Okay, kids, let's go.
As Bud and the 4 older children left the house that evening, 13-year-old Zachary went back inside to pick up his football cleats.
We were getting ready to back up, and Zachary still hadn't come out yet, so we said we'd stop back for him a little bit.
As he put the car in reverse, Zachary suddenly reappeared.
I stopped looking behind me and looked forward as the car was still rolling backwards.
At that same moment, little Katie ran from the house toward the moving vehicle.
And all of a sudden I felt a bump. And I thought, no, I ran over the cat. I'd stopped and saw Karen coming out the front door with her eyes wide as dollars.
Katie! Katie!
The car's wheel had stopped directly on top of Katie's 25-pound body.
This is a station wagon with a 3rd seat in the back, loaded with all family members, and I think it's something like 3,000 pounds, was sitting on my baby.
And all I could see was her legs sticking out from underneath the tire. And I thought I killed my little girl.
Bud, do something!
Honey, I'm going to back the car.
Bud made a quick decision. He would attempt to slowly back the car off Katie's body.
And as soon as I did, Karen had pulled Katie out from underneath the car.
I shouldn't have moved her, but I did. You don't think of those things, you just, mother instinct, you hold your baby.
I'm so sorry, honey. Daddy didn't mean to hurt you.
As they waited for the ambulance to arrive, Bud and Karen continued to check their daughter for broken bones and signs of internal bleeding.
One of the things that she had said, it tore me up because she said, Daddy, you run over me.
You're all right.
It's going to be all right.
I was reassuring her that everything was all right, but I knew inside that things probably weren't okay.
Paramedics made an initial assessment of her condition.
They wanted to stabilize her. They thought she could have had some spinal injuries. She was scared to death. She just wanted mommy, and I wanted to hold her, but I couldn't. I was just so anxious to get to the hospital.
I jumped in the front of the ambulance, and as we were driving to the hospital, I was going all through my head, what could I have done? What could I have changed?
Suddenly, a comforting image came into Bud's mind.
I just had the vision of an angel draped over top of her. It was that one vision that gave me a little bit of hope until we reached the hospital, and once again you come back to the reality of the emergency, what had happened.
At the hospital, pediatric surgeon Dr. Ronald Hill had been put on emergency call.
That's the kind of call you get. You just get sick at your stomach, just imagining the terrible injury that she could have.
A CAT scan was ordered for Katie, and Bud and Karen nervously waited for the results.
These x-rays demonstrate that she was compressed on the left side of her body where the tire had run over. You can see where this is squished down as compared to the right side of her body. There's no evidence of a ruptured spleen or internal bleeding. It's really amazing. This is beyond anything that I was trained to expect.
Dr. Hill brought the incredible news to Katie's parents.
Mr. and Mrs. Daly, I'm Dr. Hill.
Hi.
Got some wonderful news for both of you.
I remember being impressed that God had intervened to spare her. It's just miraculous to me that she didn't get squashed like a pancake.
Myself. How you doing, Katie?
Good.
God must have some very special plans for you.
I was thinking the same thing, that God had saved her life. I knew that. But to hear a doctor say it, the evidence was in.
Now it was Karen's turn to remember a remarkable event that occurred earlier that day.
You have a good nap, okay?
That afternoon, Katie was in her bed and she called me back.
I can pray with me.
And she goes, Mommy, pray with me. And it was something that Bud always does in the evening. That was a father-daughter thing that he did. So it was really out of character for her to call me back.
Okay, are you ready?
And I knelt beside the bed and we prayed.
Dear God, thank you for all of our blessings. And let the angels watch over and protect Katie and keep her safe. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, have a big nap, honey, okay?
Could the prayer for an angel that afternoon have been answered just a few hours later? The Dalys are convinced that it was.
Wow, miracles really do happen.
Yeah. What do you think? I think so. I'd
Mate,
give that.
we're unavailable. Our stream has been stopped. Check your YouTube, Dale.
No, it's still running. Oh, stream unavailable. Stream has been stopped. Let me press the refresh and see what happens. Maybe we have made an infringement.
I'm thinking you've just violated trademark violations.
Let's see what happens if you can still watch this show. Just no, stream unavailable. So
it's gone.
It's gone. Oh. So there still appears to be 5 people watching. I don't know.
They're waiting for it to come back.
I don't.
Let me just.
I'll ask the question. Has the stream been broken? Anyone? Because we don't have a stream anymore. So.
Shit, Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry to. Oh, well, we're not on. I don't think we're on. We're not on.
No.
Alexandra said broken.
Yeah.
Appears we've been. Alexandra.
Oh, we're back on.
Hey, we're back on.
Hey.
Yay!
We're back.
We're back on.
We are back.
Hello.
Maybe we're not so
Love you all. Well, we're back.
Yeah, it shows that we are back
Yep,
now.
there we are. Yep, look, that's why I just waved my hands around so I can see it on YouTube. So we're back, darling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yes.
please refresh, and it should be back on. Okay, so good.
So can I just say, guys, thank you so much for coming back and watching us. This is the problem that we get every week. Because we're showing other people's footage of angel stories, NDE, ghosts, etc., we don't know whether it breaches any community violations of trademark or other standards. So what we'd love is to start getting real people like yourselves telling us situations or stories that you've been in. Be on our show if you want.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be on air, we can certainly read a story that you compose.
Yeah.
You know, but we'd like it if people did a 5-minute video.
Yeah.
So then you can come on, just like Katerina at the beginning of our show, and you say, look, I'm just a normal average person and this is my story.
Yeah.
Because then we're not going to get copyrighted every week, because we are trying to get the word out here about spiritualism, about waking up, about how all this is not crazy. It is natural, innate abilities that we all have.
Yeah.
So the more we talk about it every week, especially now that we're on YouTube where you can comment live and be a part of our show, because a lot of people are a little bit scared, they're apprehensive, they're shy about opening up to saying, hey, I've had an experience.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what Mike and I intention is here, to say, you know what, there's no need to be fearful of what happens.
No.
Because all this stuff can happen to us.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. And
so if you'd like to be on our show, come on through.
You know, if you've had a near-death experience, a shared death experience, a deathbed vision, divine intervention, angelic intervention, anything like this, please let us know, because we want to get our own content so that we can obviously just avoid all this nonsense that we've had to deal with, which is one of the reasons why I left Facebook. You know, it was just getting absurd, the amount of times I was getting threatened and warned, and you know, it seemed I couldn't show other people's material, but somebody could use my name, my photograph and my book, and that was okay with them. So we need to avoid all this, and that's why we switched to YouTube. But we really want to start getting our own stuff. So please contact us. You can contact me at YouTube or Linda on Facebook. You'll find a way of connecting with us.
I've just commented my email while you were talking, Mike.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because you know we're trying to do a great show. Yeah. So we don't even. A lot of people do give us feedback. Thank you so much if you have. Yeah. You know, so comment and let us know what you think about the show. You know, if there's something that you don't think we should be doing, or if you think that there is something that we should doing more, you know, critical feedback is something now that people get offended by, whereas I don't. Mike doesn't. If you've got negative feedback where you think, oh my God, sorry to say it, but I think that you're doing this wrong, please say it, because we can handle it. We don't judge, we don't accuse. You know, we live in a world now where everybody gets so offended and everybody is just walking on eggshells where you don't want to upset the apple cart of the next person. Yeah. You know, one of the best things in life is the best philosophy, where you actually say to yourself, I don't give a damn about what other people think of me. Once we take that power within ourselves, that's how we're not shy anymore. We can come out and say, you know what, I don't give a damn what you think of me, but I'm going to act the way I am anyway. Yeah. Because I am me. Exactly. We don't have to get along. We agree to disagree on a lot of stuff. But as long as I can be who I am and you can be who you are, then we're all doing life right. Okay?
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that is if it's abusive, then I will get rid of the...
Of course.
And
of
the only
course.
reason I do that is because, again, I don't particularly care if you're abusive to me or not. It's water off a duck's back, but it lowers the energy of the whole collective of the show, and it would also tell me that this isn't the show for you. You're not working in the vibration of the show is too high for you. So abuse won't be tolerated. But other than that, make your comments, express yourself, what you feel. It may very well be different to myself and Linda, but this is the whole point of it. Communication within a collective of people that are enjoying the same type of experience. So, yeah. Okay.
Yep, it's all good. Okay, so speaking of asking people if they've had an NDE, Mike, we've got a really good story coming up now called from Jan Christensen.
Jan Christensen, let's run it.
Yeah, let's go and have a look.
And we'll hear what we have to say about this after. Here we go.
Yep.
What happened to me is I was at work and I was a community nurse at the time, and I literally slipped on ice. And I tried to catch myself. And as I did that, I got my feet wound up, my feet shot straight up in the air, and I came straight down head first onto the ice. And I was knocked unconscious immediately. So my best figuring is that I was unconscious for at least 20 minutes, which might seem not that long to some people, but where I went and what happened was pretty amazing. My first realization was that suddenly I was just in this place that was very dark, and the thought came up of, where am I? And then it was like a knowing, I'm here, and felt completely safe. There was no fear, no human reactions of where I was. I knew I was fine. And then I was looking around. So in this state, I could see without eyes and I could hear without ears. I was looking around in this fairly dark place that I could still see, but there was not much to see. It was just me there. And then all of a sudden, I felt this, what I relate as, it was like the air coming out of a balloon. I just went, and I expanded in every direction. I expanded forwards and backwards and sideways. So there was no beginning and no end to me. It was just this absolutely ecstatic feeling of being everywhere and everything. And I had this feeling of, I feel so good that I could just stay here forever and never need anything else. It felt like I was pure love, and I was loved so deeply and so profoundly that there was no room for anything except that feeling. There was no fear, there was no worry, there was no doubts, no anything except pure love. So in understanding this oneness and this pure love, I just laid there, and as I mentioned, I felt like I could just stay there forever, needing nothing, in pure, exquisite love. And then suddenly the thought came up of, but what about your daughters? And I thought, oh, my daughters still need me. And with that thought, I was back in the density of my body immediately, not feeling any pain from my fall, but I was right back within myself as a human here on earth. And from there, I then came back into my consciousness, and I was in quite a bit of trouble physically. I was in a lot of pain and a lot of, I couldn't speak. So that was the experience of where I went and what happened. And it sounds very short and very probably spectacular to some people who haven't been there. But in coming back here, I have come to see so many things after being through that experience. And I forgot to mention that while I was out there and floating, before I had my thought about my daughters, I could see a very bright white light coming towards me very quickly. And I kind of felt an urgency, and that was the urgency of, am I going or am I staying? So then the thought came, what about my daughters? And I came back before the light reached me. So that too is, a lot of people mention that, this light. So I know there is more to see when I go fully to the other side. But I have seen enough to know that we are pure love at our core. here on earth, I feel that same feeling that I felt out there, but with a much smaller intensity. But I still know that I am pure love. I have absolutely no fear of death, zero fear of death, because I know that where I'm going is an absolutely phenomenal place. And I know that death is not the end of me. It's just the beginning of a new experience. And I don't look forward to death tomorrow because I want to stay here and live. Being human is phenomenal. Having this ability to be here and have human emotions, that's the gift that we've been given. And people think about God as outside of themselves, but we are actually God. In this flow of oneness, we are God. Inside of us, the energy that flows and is in every one of our cells is God energy. It's wisdom, it's love. And so that's why in your essence, you can feel that wonderful feeling because we are all God. And God is not a little man sitting up in the sky. It's the energy. So every time you breathe, every time you take a breath in, you're taking a breath of the energy, you're taking a breath of the divine and bringing it into yourself. There's nothing to fear ever. And I call it pure energy because that's what everything is pure energy. And so everybody else is the same as me. They are pure energy in the form and formlessness in our body and in our spiritual self. We're pure energy. And scientists have known that for a long time, that everything is energy. And that goes for the planets, the moon, the stars, you and me, the earth. Everything is this energy, which has a consciousness. As I floated out there, I was perfectly and completely conscious. And so the energy is love, it's consciousness, it's also wisdom, it's pure wisdom. And you often hear spiritual people talk about gaining access to this wonderful wisdom that we can get when we become spiritually awakened and evolved. But all of this, the love, the wisdom, it's all accessible, and the consciousness is accessible to anyone at any time here on earth. And it's been sort of a misconception that you have to be a huge spiritual being to tap into this and to be a part of the oneness that we all are. You don't have to be deeply spiritual and have had a huge awakening to tap into all of this that we are. And I know that because I had lots of experiences before I had my near-death experience, which I didn't understand. But it was just tapping into the consciousness that some people call beyond the veil, that's on the other side. This spiritual self that we have inside of us is always connected to everything out there, to the energy, which is the consciousness and the pieces of all the people who have lived here, because energy never dies. It just changes form, changes address, changes location. So when we're here as humans, we're actually here as spiritual beings having a human experience. And when we go from here, we do not die. We just simply go to a different location in a different form.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I got out of it, actually.
Yeah.
Was the funniest thing is that what I got out of it was nothing to do with the NDE experience. When I look at that woman, I see a woman that's seen a lot of things in her life and had a lot of experiences. There's a little bit of pain in her.
Yes.
And that I noticed predominantly. And the way she describes the NDE is so representative of her work, actually, which has to be so thorough and precise. And that's what I got from it, more than the NDE experiences, the actual toll of life and the life experiences shows in her face, but particularly her eyes. But anyway, Linda, over to you.
It's all good, Dale. I love the quotes that these people give that have an NDE, because then I can compare it to what I personally went through when I died, and I can understand their way of describing what they go through. So the way that she said we see without eyes and we hear without ears. In my book, that's how I explain it, where I say that I could smell the mountains.
Right.
And I could hear the flowers.
Yeah.
And I could smell the buildings.
Right.
Because everything was just so connected that you do see without eyes and you hear without ears. When she thought about her daughters and she was back, because our thoughts become reality.
Yeah.
You know, I love talking about the end of Wizard of Oz, you know, Judy Garland movie, where she's there, and I think it's the Glenda, the Good Witch of the West, or whatever she is.
The East, I think, yeah.
North, South, East, West, somewhere in there. She said, how do I go home? And the witch says, my dear, you've had the ability within you all along.
Yeah.
All you had to do was think about it.
Yeah.
Because once we think, and that's exactly what happened to me, because I was talking to my great-great-great-great-grandmother, and she actually said, you can go home anytime you know, you can go back anytime you like, as soon as you start thinking about it. So as soon as I started thinking about the house where I died, I came back.
Yeah.
So, and I love how she was talking about energy never dies.
Yeah.
Because ultimately we're made of protons, electrons, and neutrons that make up the atoms, you know.
Yeah.
We've got billions and billions of atoms in our body, and they're invisible.
Yeah.
So it's only because of the Bose-Higgs that we are now in physical form. But when you break our bodies down, we are pure energy.
There, you've gone and broken the romance of godliness now. There I am thinking I've been made in his image, and you spoil it for me.
Because his image is electricity. You know? So why do we take on this form though? You know, why do we see angels that have heads, arms, legs, torsos, etc.? You know, why? You know, I'm not plugging my book tonight at all, guys. I'm just showing you the picture.
Plug the book anyway.
But you look at the beings on the front of my book, and they look like heads with shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So anyway, Mike said to plug it. So here's my book. It's available on Lulu. 5 Years in Heaven: The Teachings of Heaven. You know, so it's weird, Mike, because you know we are. You know, I love referring back to religious texts. And scriptures, because there are hints in there, but it's not all the be-all and end-all of spirituality or religion, because every religion just has a little snippet. So does a lot of spiritual theories.
Right.
But at the end of the day, as long as we're doing what we think is right, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Because that's what gives us that perspective when we do go to heaven. But at the end of the day, you know, she's gorgeous. You know, most NDEs never talk about the trauma or the PTSD side of what happens to us, you know, because it is extremely traumatic, you know. You know, a lot of people have very bad injuries or illnesses that do hurt, and you've got a lot of pain. So it's not a good experience at all.
No.
You know, and that's why I don't like talking about what happened before I died. I just like talking about what happened to me after I died. You know, because too many NDEs go into that 5-minute spiel. I was walking down the street and you think, come on, get to it.
Get to
and
the
then
point,
I came, I got my surfboard and I was scrubbing down the wax on the surfboard. Get to the story. You know? So, you know, I get a little bit impatient. You know, so I like just getting straight to the I died. And this is what I saw.
And that's why if you would like to present any of your stories, that's why we want it in 5 minutes, so we get to the nuts and the bolts of it all.
That's right. Don't talk about how you died. You know, it's all right to say, oh yeah, on the night of, or you know, I was in hospital or something. But the longer that we talk about what led up to it, we're creating that within ourselves as well. You know, so like I died of what they called chronic respiratory failure. So the more I don't mention it, even though it's in my medical files, because as soon as I start mentioning that, I think, oh my God, have I got pains in my heart? Have I got pains in my lungs? So we don't create it.
No.
Talk about what we saw instead of how we got to what we saw. Because we've all got a mortality date. Let's go there. No one's worked out the immortality thing yet, but our souls are immortal. We are constant, because as she said herself, energy doesn't die; it just changes.
And before we go on to hear Christopher Allen, the medium, our dear friends in Switzerland just fired up their little toy yesterday.
Yes.
And they're trying to find the God particle. And
I know.
I mean, and we asked this question in our table tipping session. And would they be successful? No. And then I heard...
See, I was shaking my head even before you said no, because I'm getting the same messages, darling.
But here's the funny thing. Joan at the table after that said to me, and then God laughed and laughed and laughed. Yeah.
We will never find heaven in this existence.
No.
Because it's not in our dimension.
No.
And unless they start looking in other dimensions,
heaven forbid.
Then heaven forbid, because, what have they identified now? About 38 different dimensions? But there's thousands of dimensions. If they start messing around and poking their heads into the wrong ones, oh, man, there's ramifications. This is why you don't do time travel, because one change in the past could totally change the future. We're not supposed to do it.
No,
we're not supposed to do it.
I'd still like to have a look at the looking glass, though, Linda. I'd like to have a little peek at the looking glass.
I know what you're talking about. So for those who don't know what the looking glass is, apparently it's not proven, but when the Roswell incident happened back in the 1940s, there was technology discovered on one of the ships that they call the looking glass. So what happens is when you look into this device, you see the future. And they believe that it's now in the US government's hands. And that is why they can look into that looking glass and see future events. And then they can sort of work out a way of getting it to work out in their favour. But the future, just like the past, cannot be changed, because ultimately there is no time. So we've all heard the prophecies that there is a spiritual war occurring. And they're doing their damnedest through using this looking glass to change the outcome. But ultimately, the outcome is that God, the universe, and goodness, love, will always win.
And they apparently looked at all possibilities. And in every dimension, in every timeline, the result was the same, that they lost.
That's right. They're always losing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and
damn.
Nikki asked what portal might open.
Well,
I mean,
pick a door.
I was also told that they were trying to create a portal to allow whatever they want to allow to come in. But my understanding is they haven't got a clue what can come through. And
that's right.
It's a bit of a dangerous thing, this, that they're doing, because there are portals, for want of a better phrase, let's call them stargates. There's portals not far from where I live here, only about 50 kilometres away, 40 kilometres away. There's a big underground portal, but they don't know what they're messing with. But then again, if you look at their opening ceremony all those years ago, it was one of the most satanic ceremonies that I've ever seen.
Of course.
So we know they're up to no bloody good, but it just simply won't succeed. And that's the end of it. So I wouldn't worry, and I'd say to everybody else, don't worry.
It's good.
Yeah.
That's right. You know, because you've got to remember we've got aliens here.
Yeah.
And, you know, out of all the different species of aliens that come here, some of those are good.
Yeah.
They're not all the little reptilians that wear a crown and live in Buckingham Palace, you know.
Ouch. Rush me to the burn unit.
But at the end of the day, there are good ones out there, guys.
Yeah. Well,
and all we can do is hope and pray that at the right time, when the timing is perfect for them as well as us, they are going to intervene, because they already have in the past.
Yeah.
If you look at the, you know, like the SpaceX rocket that blew up because the UFO came around, there's a little round orby UFO that comes in, and you can see it blows up. Well, it actually implodes. The rocket implodes, and then it just goes boom. So that is on YouTube. You can go find that one.
Our dear friend Elon, with his satellites that went up, I do know that was alien intervention.
That was him with the SpaceX. Yes.
Yeah,
because
41
you know
of them.
well, it was the Facebook rocket they were launching that blew up.
Right.
So what was really on that that they didn't, the aliens didn't want in space? Good question. Yeah. We'll never know, because we didn't build it, and we weren't the ones that blew it up. But the ones who blew it up obviously knew what was on it.
Yeah. Well,
because there's rockets that go up all the time.
One thing is for sure, the same with him and all those others, Bezos, Branson, and Soros, all of them. If they want it, it can't be good for humanity.
Yeah.
I can tell you that, and you don't need to be one of those foolish conspiracy theorists to work that one out. Just a little bit of critical thinking and looking at their pattern throughout their business life will tell you, you know, look, Branson's building this with our dear friend William, these plant-based foods. Now, this gives you the impression that, you know, it's going to be nice plant-based food. But have you seen these Cylon towers and the chemicals that are going in to make it taste like meat? This is nothing to do because they want to serve humanity. This is all about profit. And there's a little bit going on underneath there that they're not revealing right now.
Of course.
But,
well, darling, I don't want us to get wiped again twice in one night.
Right.
So how about we get off this and go and look at Christopher Allen?
Exactly. And then we can wrap the show up. Here we go.
That's right.
So I think I'm in this section. They want me to bring up the reference of the father-brother that's passed on, so they make sure I bring up, I have two different generations of men that are passed. They're trying to get me to say emphysema lung cancer in this section. They want me to make sure I speak of them. Somebody's birthday, I think, is right this week or like within the next 7 days. But they want me to say confetti raining down in this area. So can we get a mic over here? So Dad's passed for us?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there like a disconnect between him and the rest of the family?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? And whose birthday's now?
Mine.
When is it?
Today.
There it is. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
As beautiful as that is, I think they want me to kind of bring this into conversation because I wonder if there's a lack of connection when he was alive to us, it's his way to come through and say, wherever he is, his higher self is more evolved and aware and wants to just have you focus on celebrating your life today. Oh. So, also, who you're with, did we lose somebody through the world of like self-neglect?
My brother passed away, lung cancer.
Okay.
Yes.
There's my father and son energy, or the father and brother. So I need to bring up how the 23rd of a month is significant. So they're showing me George's jersey.
He passed on the 23rd.
How old was he?
He was 59.
And he passed on the 23rd?
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. There's just their way for me to make sure I bring up Dad, wishing you a happy birthday and acknowledge the brother, reference of smoking and celebrating again life, not death, but focus on life. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, thank you.
There's also somebody who died from like neurological issues, from like a brain bleed.
My children's father died of bleeding of the brain.
Okay. They want me to say my dad's name was Al, and they want me to make sure I bring up who Allie or Al would be for you.
That was his father's name. My kid's father's name.
Was A.L.?
Yeah.
What was the name?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh.
So, This is his way to say you're the opportunity to get the message across to his children and let him know that he's okay. And I almost think it's almost my own dad who passed away's way of saying, I'm here with you, son, doing this. Al. So to both Al's on the other side, this is what they want me to give to you, all right? This is you. She wants me to say the 7th month, July, or the big Mickey Mantle's number 7 connects with your family. So
That's how old she was, man. 7.
She was 7? Okay, for you, I have to stay strong. I just want to kind of cry myself. There's a feeling of, do you know Joan Rivers, the comedian?
Yeah.
She passed away. There's a story, your daughter wants to say something about like either passing on the operating table or the feeling of like passing when she should be in good hands.
Yes, sir. You hit it. She was on the table. She died one day.
You being her father obviously made the decision to say this is what can help you and this is what's going to resolve everything and make you better. And there's the feeling of guilt of thinking, wow, I let you down. She's making me feel like, no, you didn't. You didn't absolutely let her down.
Man.
She's someone who came to this earth for a bigger reason, and it's to help you evolve. And so she was really your teacher, and she's your teacher in life.
You're absolutely right, man. I when she came in, she was sick, and I just devoted myself to her.
I'm feeling that somebody has like a birthday right next to someone else's, and it's like we killed 2 birds with 1 stone one day, or somebody died like the same week as a birthday.
Yeah, somebody else in my family had died right after her, and it was just a little rough.
Okay, well, she wants you to celebrate more, focus on the celebration of life rather than death. They want me to also bring up the reference of, did you get a traffic ticket recently, or did you just get pulled over?
He's an excellent medium, that guy.
Do you know what I love about him, Mike?
Yeah, go on.
That guy at the end, he's got the M shirt on, so he works at that studio.
Yeah.
So he's not one of the paid audience members.
No.
So that shows that this guy, he, was it set up because it's a guy that works there? No. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
No. It's too risky. It's too risky for the TV channels.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
So this guy's not about just, oh, yes, you've paid me money today, I'll just look after you. This is a guy who does his work like you and I do our work, Mike. We'll look after everybody that we can.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so happy that this guy is out there doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people out there just after the buck. We all need money to survive, of course.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's whether we live comfortably or beyond our means, There's too many like evangelists out there who have made millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be that guy.
No.
I want to be the guy who just lives comfortably, where I can afford to spend my time on whoever needs it the most.
Yeah.
And that guy in that show we just watched, he obviously needed it.
Yeah.
Funny thing, when the show first started, and he's saying, oh, yeah, I've got this person. Who is it? The 2 ladies in the front of the actual lady, they actually thought it was her. There was a lady there. She thought it was her.
I noticed that, yeah.
And she said, oh, it's me. And then he goes to the lady behind her because it was her birthday.
Yeah.
She was a little bit upset. So, this is what we have to remember, guys. Yeah. Whenever you go and see a psychic medium and we've all got that hope, oh, maybe my grandmother will come through or someone will come through. Take away your expectations because the medium does not dictate who comes through.
No.
We're only that channel for them to use us as like the telephone communication service. Yeah. So we don't say who comes through. It could be anyone or anything that does come through. Because I have a lot of animals that comes through when I do readings. Past dogs that you've had, or cats or birds even. I had a lady here one day, her bird was just singing in my ear. And I said, what is this tune? And she said, oh, my God, that's the tune I taught it to my parrot, and it died about 5 years ago. So anything could come through, like trumpet the other day, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we get filled with this beautiful hope and love that our world is not the end all be all. We have to remember that we do have life lessons, we have life contracts, because most importantly, our soul is eternal. This life is just a blink. You know, we put too much emphasis on our three-dimensional world that we have here, where we put too much importance on our materialistic gain. And if we just tweak our thinking processes and we think, instead of putting all my energy today into watching something I don't even really like, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to exert that energy towards my neighbours or my loved ones or my pets. And I'm going to tell them, I love you. Man, this world would be in such a better place if we all did that. You know? Wow. So I like Christopher Allen.
Yep, I do.
Wow.
Good lad.
He's gorgeous. He's gorgeous, Mike. Yeah.
Linda, it's
I
that
know,
time.
we're at that time of the day.
Yeah.
It's time for me to go to bed.
Time for me to have lunch.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, guys, sorry about the little interruption that we had. I hope that you came back. Please take us up on our offer. If you've had an experience, contact Mike or myself. Mike, if you just want to put your email, and even in the description of your YouTube, so people can contact you. I've put my contact in there, my email's in there. So if you do want to be on the show, guys, contact Mike or myself. We'll talk about how to get you on the show. You don't have to appear if you don't want to be seen. Okay. You know, so even if it's just something that myself or Mike just reads out, you know, just some sort of experience that you've had, because ultimately we're all here to learn and grow. And, you know, you found your tribe. If you're a new person watching us, please know you found your tribe. You know, you won't find anyone more understanding or compassionate than Mike and myself. You know, we don't judge anybody, you know.
No.
So come on down and be a part of the magic that we're trying to create.
Super. Good way to finish, Linda.
I try.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
I try. Well, that's right. We try our best.
So, everyone, thank you for joining. Continue to comment, even if you're watching this in the replay. Just comment away, and if you're directing something at myself and Linda, when I get back to YouTube, I'll pick it up and we'll answer any questions. In the meantime, have a great Wednesday.
Have a great morning, good evening, good night, guys. See you later next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.